on the Republican side. He represents Texas' 14th District in the U.S. House of Representatives. He wants to be the Republican nominee for president, the Honorable Ron Paul. Ron, how you doing? So, you are a throwback Republican because you are a true libertarian, right?
That is true. I believe in limited government. I believe in individual liberty, and there were some Republicans at one time that actually believed that.
I know, but see, I've always thought I was a libertarian, but I'm Chairman Mao compared to you, because you don't believe, you think we should get rid of the CIA.
Well, I think we could do without the CIA murdering leaders in different countries. I think there's room for intelligence gathering, but I don't like the secret activity of the CIA where they go about and getting rid of people like DM and others and installing governments. Our CIA was helpful.
But we're under attack by crazy Muslim fanatics. Don't you think, even if they're doing a bad job, it's better than no job at all? I would feel pretty naked without the CIA.
You'd feel naked, but you'd be a lot safer because you'd be less likely to be attacked by terrorists. I mean, our CIA was in operation getting rid of an elected leader of Iran in 1953, and they never forgot that. So that helped lead to the radicalization.
But Congress, you are pretty far out there as far as the libertarian thing. I mean, I've read that you said that you don't think we should have fought the Civil War.
Well, I think there would have been a better way. Have you studied the history? Every other major country of the world was able to get rid of slavery without a civil war. So the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery. Civil War was fought over unifying and making a strong centralized state. You could have paid for all the slaves and released them, and there were proposals like that. That's the way the British did it. Every major country in the world got rid of slavery without a civil war except us. So it was not necessary. And there were tariffs involved and many other reasons why the Civil War was fought. But if you read Lincoln carefully, you'll realize that Lincoln was not the greatest opponent to slavery. And if you don't look at that, you're denying a very important part of our history.
All right, not for the Civil War. What about global warming? Are you on the page that there is such a thing as global warming?
Yeah, I think it's been around for a long time, and it's probably going to be here with us for a while longer. I don't think the ozone has settled on that yet. I don't think everybody knows everything about global warming, because you have reputable scientists on both sides of that argument.
No, you don't!
Well,
no, on the other side, you only have Professor Irwin Corey and the Shell Answer Man. I mean, the reason I'm bringing this up is to say, even as someone who I consider myself somewhat of a libertarian, I think there are some jobs that are so enormous that only the government can do it. And I would put, at this point in our very tenuous history, global warming in that list. Don't you think the government has to do something about global warming?
Well, then you have to deal with the volcanoes, and you have to deal with the pollution of China. So do you want to invade China to make sure they don't pollute? And what are you going to do about the volcanoes? They are all contributing factors to global warming. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do what we can to slow up the emissions and stop subsidizing big oil companies. I don't like subsidizing oil companies. They've been doing that for years. We go to war to protect oil so that we can buy more oil and burn more oil. So I would say our foreign policy contributes to global warming by subsidizing a policy that is deeply flawed, and that's why we're in the Middle East, to protect oil interests. So yes, that would be one of the first things you could do if you're serious.
But still against the Civil War. Okay. What about the FAA? I mean, that does prevent planes from crashing into each other. It is government meddling in a sort of absolute sense, but don't you think we would need something like the FAA?
Sure, you could. You could have a private FAA. And,
a private FAA?
Of course, you didn't do a very good job with your FAA in preventing 4 aircrafts going down in the wrong places, where if it had been private, and you had not depended on the government for protection, you might not have had a rule that said you can't have a gun on an airplane and that you can't resist. So because we were dependent on the federal government to protect us and the FAA, we weren't really protected. So I would say there's lots of room for an alternative to a government monopolized FAA, and then we'd be just as safe.
But haven't we learned from Walter Reed and so many other scandals that actually private enterprise does worse? Corporations are actually worse than the government because they have absolutely no conscience?
Well, what makes you think the Veterans Association is private? I mean, this is a demonstration of what government-run medicine will be like. If you like government medicine, go to the veterans hospitals and you'll find out what it's like. I mean, as a physician and as one that had been trained in Veterans Hospital, most physicians and young doctors always knew what the quality of medical care was in many of our Veterans Hospital. We need to allow every veteran to have decent health care, but we should permit him and pay for it to allow him to go to the doctor that he wants to go to and not make him stand in lines to get second-class care in some of our VA hospitals.
Okay, I appreciate that input and food for thought. Congressman Ron Paul, everybody. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.